Welcome on into our New York City studios, everybody. Jay Alter, John Fanta with you on Big EAST Shootaround. Did you watch the lottery balls last night? Your Knicks get the ninth pick. I'm one ahead as a Cavs fan.
Yeah, 8, 9, and then Philly in 10. Those are three teams that could end up with Villanova's Mikal Bridges. We're hearing him right around in that back end of the lottery. 8, 9, 10. We'll have a lot of NBA Combine, NBA Draft preview today on Shootaround.
That's coming up with ESPN's Fran Fraschilla. He broke down all those prospects. But we begin with something that's become a tradition in the opening week of college hoop season. The Dave Gavitt tip-off games, and the 4th annual slate was announced earlier this week.
And we don't keep score, but if we did, it's even so far through 3 years. Here's your 8-game slate. Always fun to get the Big Ten and the Big East together.
It all kicks off Tuesday, November 13th. Patrick Ewing's Hoyas with a road test at Illinois. But some of the highlighted matchups, Wisconsin, Xavier, and then you've got your eyes on that big Wednesday night one.
It jumps off the page. The national title game rematch, Michigan at Villanova. The Wolverines will have to stare at that 2018 national championship banner. Look, that is a mouth-watering matchup. Gavitt games are not. Whenever you can get two teams that battled for a championship together the following season, that is must-watch basketball. Awesome job to get those two teams together.
What do I have my eyes on? Well, that Wednesday night slate as a whole is phenomenal. Get ready for tons of great action on FS1 and BTN. I love Marquette and Indiana. Hoosiers picking up a big recruit last week in Romeo Langford, but the Golden Eagles are stacked heading into next year. Joey Hauser joins his brother Sam, and then watch out for Marcus Howard. These Golden Eagles averaged 11 threes per game this past year. I expect them to be reigning it in Assembly Hall.
An opportunity for a November early road win. This is a team with a lot of expectations going into the season. They can prove it when they go to Indiana.
Another major highlight on the Gavitt game slate, we told you about Xavier and Wisconsin, but how about Ohio State and Creighton?
Chris Holtmann coming back to the Big East with his Buckeyes. They go at Creighton. That's going to be a phenomenal atmosphere. And then I like the local rival, Friday night, St. John's, Rutgers, little tri-state area fun between those two teams.
So that's it for the Gavitt games. Go to BigEast.com for the whole slate. As we turn to the NBA playoffs, and the broadcast last night had some flair.
Julie off the dribble. Monroe gets inside. Oh, it's blocked by Green. Knocked out of bounds. Last touch by the Cavs. They say Celtics balls will take a timeout. That's Hoya on Hoya crime right there. Jeff Green. Boom.
And there it is, the Hoya on Hoya crime. Patrick Ewing saying, thanks for the love, Jeff Van Gundy. And Coach Van Gundy, he was around the program a lot last season, so no surprise that he gives Georgetown some love during the NBA playoffs. And we've seen it, Big East players making impact throughout this postseason.
I just think of that image of him courtside for the season opener, Patrick Ewing's opener, in the Georgetown sweater. That was so awesome. And speaking of Coach Ewing, he's hitting the ice.
Well, we were talking about the NBA playoffs. Coach Ewing also rinkside at the NHL playoffs at the Capital One Arena before the Caps and the Lightning game. This was overheard. Patrick saying, someone asking Coach, do you skate? His response, I would break my butt.
I already have.
Which gets us thinking, who would be your, Big East basketball player if the Big East took up hockey? Who would we recruit to play hockey? Who do you got?
I'm going to go with the tough, the lengthy, the explosive, Martin Crumple.
Okay.
Love the way that he would attack the net. I think Martin could be a check artist right into the boards.
How about in goal, Marvin Clark with the Las Vegas Golden Knights? Great reaction. He takes up a lot of the cage, broad shoulders. Marv. How about the Vegas Knights? They need an impact transfer like you were for St. John's on the court.
You ever play hockey?
Not once. Never skated in my entire life.
Never once.
3rd grade field trip, refused to go on the ice.
Went to Friday night skate in 6th grade. Mom picked me up 20 minutes in. Got a slice of pizza.
That's why we're talking basketball.
That's right. Speaking of basketball.
Not hockey, guys.
The NBA Combine going on this week. You saw a lot of those prospects last night on ESPN during the lottery. And now, tomorrow and Friday, we'll be out there. Ujash Patel and myself will have coverage Of the 5 Big East participants,
Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges leading the way for Villanova, Dante DiVincenzo, Omari Spellman as they continue to decide whether they will stay in the draft or not. And of course, Kyrie Thomas. We will have a lot more on the Creighton guard, a full breakdown NBA comparison coming up. But enough from us. Let's tip it over to John Fanta with ESPN's Fran Fraschilla.
The confidence has caught up to the physical and athletic attributes that Mikal has. He has evolved each year into a better and better college player. He's fundamentally sound because of the program that he's played in, and he's been hard coached. But when you then look at his athleticism and length, and then his continued improved ability to shoot the ball, it makes him really, I think, a terrific prospect.
Of those 3 remaining Villanova players, Jalen Brunson, Omari Spellman, Dante DiVincenzo, if you had to pick one, who intrigues you the most heading into the Combine?
Well, I think it would have to be Omari Spellman because simply because when you look at his combination of his age and his size and his skill level, he fits the modern NBA because of that. He showed an improved ability as the season went on to defend the rim, rebound at a reasonably high level, and then, of course, at times, when he missed an open 3, it was almost shocking. Now, having said that, he's probably by NBA big man standards, he's an average athlete right now. And I was no doubt that somewhere between 20 and 40, he's going to be taken. And if that's what he is looking for, to start his NBA career in that regard, I think that he'll do that. On the other hand, he's one of those guys, unlike a Jalen Brunson, who's really accomplished everything, that can come back next year, dominate the Big East, help himself, move up in terms of the draft order, and make more money. Although in the long run, Omari's going to be an NBA player. It's just a matter of what route does he want to take. Does he want to cash in now, or does he want to wait a year and roll the dice on himself at the college level?
And that's the question for Dante DiVincenzo. The hype is obviously off the charts after what he did in the national championship game. Fran, do you think it's in his best interest to capitalize off of that?
Well, I think Coach Wright would probably feel the same way that many of us who follow the draft feel, and that is if he is certain to get a guarantee to begin his career again somewhere in that 20 to 40 range, it's possible that that's what Dante is going to do. Now, the purist in me says, "Hey, come back for your junior year and make a run at being National Player of the Year." But given the fact that he's got an NCAA championship under his belt, my sense is that Villanova would be best to prepare for him to leave. But he'll also get great feedback from NBA teams this week at the Combine and during his workouts with individual teams in the next couple of weeks to be able to make an educated decision. And, in my mind, it can go either way. But there's no question that Dante's going to have an excellent opportunity to be an NBA player in the next 12 months.
Where can Jalen Brunson fit on an NBA roster?
Well, he can fit on all 30 NBA rosters because in Jalen's case, you're looking at a 10-plus year player in the league. Will he ever be a star? That's to be determined. Will he ever be a starter? That's also to be determined. But when you combine the DNA, the toughness, the skill level, the character, he's the kind of guy that will be in the league for a long time, and more than likely towards the end of his career, playoff teams are going to want a guy like him on their roster because I believe he's going to be very, useful both on the court and in the locker room. The guy is I don't mean low maintenance. He is a no maintenance guy.
You speak of athleticism, and that jumps off the screen when you watch Kyrie Thomas, and you're very high on him. You follow Fran Fraschilla on Twitter. Fran, what separates Kyrie from other backcourt prospects?
Well, in a league with 450 players and only about 25 to 30 stars, John, every team is looking for great role players, whether it's outside shooters, rim protectors, rebounders. Role players really are as important. They're not as important as the elite players, the Hardens and the guys like Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. But every great team has great role players, and this kid has a chance to be an excellent role player because, number one, he's one of the best perimeter defenders in this draft. He has definitely improved his outside shooting, which can become a strength of his in the league. And then, although size would indicate at the two-guard position that, he's not prototypical, that changes when you look at his 6'10" wingspan.
Turning to the rest of the Big East, Fran, who could you see finding their way on an NBA roster?
Well, Angel Delgado is a kid that, he is a blue-collar kid. He plays with toughness. He obviously has terrific rebounding instincts. He's certainly not a first-round pick, and he certainly may be one of those guys that has to, let's say, play himself onto a roster, but his combination of toughness and nose for the basketball will not hurt him. Guys like, off the top of my head, Keelan Martin, Trayvon Blewett, J.P. McCura, these are all guys that have proven themselves at the highest level of college basketball. They're all in that second round to undrafted position, but every single season in the NBA, there are guys like these guys that make rosters after having been hidden in plain sight throughout great four-year careers. So they're all going to get their chance to play on somebody's summer league team in Las Vegas and prove themselves. And it might mean that 1, 2, or 3 of those guys have to go the G League route and grind their way into the league, but I certainly wouldn't rule it out.
Follow him on Twitter, @Fran Fraschilla. He is one of the best, especially with NBA draft stuff. He's all over it. Fran, thanks so much.
Happy to help, John.
Nobody breaks down NBA Combine, people making the transition from college to the pros like Fran Fraschilla. We appreciate his time. John Fanta, Jay Alter with you at the big board. And John, the guy we're featuring today, Creighton's Kyrie Thomas, we heard Fran say it. What has gotten him into the first round potential is that elite perimeter defense.
That has always been there with Kyrie. He can guard the ball so well, but it's the evolution of his offensive game that has made him that potential first-round pick. The explosiveness, the wingspan, they all speak for themselves, which got us thinking, like we had Mikal Bridges last week, what would you do? Who would you compare Kyrie to as we take a look at some of his stats? Nearly 2 steals per game. He disrupts the passing lanes tremendously.
Well, Fran said it, and I'll repeat it. You have stars in the NBA, but what makes a championship team is the role players. Kyrie Thomas has an excellent opportunity to be a plug-and-play role player from day one. That is attractive to all 30 NBA teams.
Because he can make an impact on both ends of the floor.
So who do you got?
Here we go. The moment of truth right here. It is Avery Bradley that we go with. And the reason why I say this is because of Avery's, the 8-year veteran, his ability to disrupt passing lanes, to finish. He's quite the slasher, and that pull-up jumper has evolved as well for Avery, and that's what has made him a seasoned veteran role player. Let's roll the tape so we can take a look at how these two are similar. Watch how Bradley gets in the passing lanes here. And this is what Kyrie's evolved with his game, the ability to finish off the steal. And that's against Steph Curry. There it is.
Very similar play. On the road as well. and he takes it for a big-time finish.
And the hops are crazy for Kyrie. He made this something that he did common throughout the season. You have to love his ability to get from end to end. So right there's the defensive side that I see similarities with.
NBA athleticism is not a question mark for Kyrie Thomas. Offensively, that's probably the biggest question mark. That's something that Avery Bradley had to deal with coming out of school. He's evolved to be a big-time NBA contributor on the offensive end as well.
And let's turn to that here and look at what they've done on the offensive side. Just catch and shoot. Simple, off the screen, and he's ready with it. Same thing here. And Kyrie did this a lot. Coming up off the screen, here's an example. Pure.
Knock it down.
It's a big part of his game. And getting the pass from Marcus Foster, that's not an easy shot. A little bit off balance even, but he really worked on that part of his game. That's why scouts are intrigued.
It's the defense that'll get Kyrie Thomas into the NBA. What will keep him in the NBA is his ability to do that stuff. Easy, knock it down, open shot, pick and roll. He's so good at it.
And that's why we go with Avery Bradley. I think that there's several different comparisons. I saw on our Twitter before the show, some people were thinking about Tony Allen.
Great defender.
Others were looking at Marcus Smart as well, even Victor Oladipo. I think that this is a kid, like, he comes into the league, and you just said it with the defensive part, but he's got the sheer athleticism and the drive. You talk to Kyrie Thomas, very focused player. He's got a ticker on him as well. He's a guy that could really take a leap, and people could be like, where'd he come from? But once his offensive game gets going, that's why scouts are so overly intrigued with him.
Well, that was the Donovan Mitchell debate. Whoa, how did this guy get taken number 13? He's clearly the best rookie in this year's class. I'm not saying Kyrie Thomas will have that much of an impact in his first year, but in terms of longevity down the road, people could be saying, whoa, late teens, early 20s, I can't believe we let this prospect drop that low on our board.
You talk about that impact. He made a high impact for the Creighton Blue Jays. Here's the best of the best from Kyrie.
At the end of my freshman year here, I wasn't playing with too much confidence. Coach Mack was like, that's what it's going to take, to get to the next level. Like, you got to block everybody out, everything else out, and just go.
Nobody cares, keep your excuses. Only two type of people in life, winners and losers. You gotta stay focused on the goal. And sometimes stay far in love is such an only road.
Stop the dunk by Kyrie Thomas.
Kyrie Thomas, the Big East Defensive Player of the Year. This kid, he can D up just about anybody, and he might be D'ing up just about anybody in this game.
Kyrie Thomas, Kyrie fits. Well, was that pretty or what? Vintage Kyrie.
Kyrie Thomas, one of the best two-way players in the country.
That's why Kyrie Thomas is such a great defender.
There's a steal. Thomas. Kyrie gets it done.
Tries to drive left side, blew it. Still on the dribble, tries to post up into the paint, and another double dribble, and another job by Kyrie Fence.
Unbelievable.
What do you think it says, and being a player for this program, about how you guys really are just an extension of the Omaha community?
Oh, I mean, it's a lot, man. Growing up, I'm from here. Growing up, all you hear about is Creighton this, Creighton that. You hear about Doug and all the Omaha guys that, been recruited by him. I mean, it's crazy that I'm a part of it. It's also surreal to me. I'm trying to embrace it. Enjoy the moment while I'm here. I'm not going to be here forever, but, I mean, it's fun. It's fun.
He's made a lot of strides. He took pride in the defensive end of the floor, and I think decision makers in the NBA appreciate what he does and what he can bring to your team.
Oh! How about that from Kyrie?
Foster moves inside. Bounces it off to Kyrie Thomas, who knocks down the three. Give him a little seat. Kyrie Thomas taking over, what is that, 8 straight for number 2?
Thomas. Hello. How do you do?
Up ahead, Kyrie Thomas throws it down.
You talk about guys you coach that are zero maintenance. He's a guy that's zero maintenance. Kyrie has had a great career, and while I'm going to miss coaching him, I really look forward to what the next chapter brings for him.
He's a guy that's zero maintenance. That is a really telling quote from Greg McDermott, because in the college game today, that's not always the case, and that's why Kyrie Thomas is climbing up draft boards. We'll have coverage of him, Dante DiVincenzo, Omari Spellman, Jaylen Brunson, and Mikal Bridges in the NBA Combine tomorrow and Friday. Go to @BigEastMBB on Twitter, our Big East Facebook page, @BigEastComp on Instagram for complete coverage of the NBA Combine, as I'll be out there with our producer, Josh Patel. We'll have that for you. So we turn to Beyond the Game. And the Marquette Golden Eagles, there's no summer break that they're entering. They got done with their finals, and now student-athletes are out in Costa Rica with the Courts for Kids program. And Marcus Howard and Matt Hell, two of the men's basketball players, heading out there and building basketball courts for the local kids in the community. This is a really cool initiative to see these guys building it up to hoop. Makes you wonder if there'll be some ice cream from the Ice Cream Man and Matt Help, but very cool to see this. And Marcus Howard is not only a guy that does it on the court for the Golden Eagles, but a tremendous representative off of it as well. And Steve Wojciechowski has said that before, and here's a true testament to that. Big East Shootaround is off for the next 2 weeks. Next week, we are at the Big East Baseball Championship in Mason. Our team is out there with coverage throughout a jam-packed week. And the following week, we are off as well. So we'll be back with you in June, leading you up to the NBA Draft, which will be right here in Brooklyn. We'll have coverage of that. So stay tuned to @BigEastMBB on Twitter for coverage from the Combine. And remember, each and every shoot-around is archived on YouTube and on iTunes. Subscribe, review, do all those good things. For my partner, Jay Alter, I'm John Fanta. We're off to the Combine in Chicago as Big East Hoops. It's just nonstop fun. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. So long.